Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Cryptocurrent. Your host here, Richard Carthon. And today I have two very special guests working on an amazing project that you need to learn more about. They just raised some money from some really big names like Coinbase, and they are working on a project that we all can use. We have both the co-founders, Simon and Thessy, with Liquality. How are y'all doing today?
Perfect. Thank you.
Well, thank you both for joining. Before we dive in, want to learn more about both of you. First, we're going to start with Thessy. Can you give us some background on yourself?
Sure. Yeah. My name is Thessy Mehrain. I am the co-founder of Liquality, which is a multi-asset crypto wallet, and we will be talking more about that soon. Liquality was started in ConsenSys, and I had joined ConsenSys in 2016. Before that, I was at JP Morgan's Corporate and Investment Bank, and was there during the financial crisis, gave me some motivation because after that I was thinking, okay, we have to find better financial solutions. I joined Occupy's working group, the alternative banking group. And that's how I found my way into blockchain eventually. When I started in 2016 in ConsenSys, I also started at the same time Women in Blockchain. This was the first female-focused community there is. And then we together started in 2018 Liquality. And I also have a background, I'm German, Iranian, and so that was also something that was very motivating to me, knowing what political powers and hyperinflations and financial events can do. So that's my motivation. And Simon, to you.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, Richard, it's great to meet you. Thank you for having us. I'm Simon Lapscher. I'm the co-founder of Liquality. Originally, I'm from Venezuela. I was born and raised there, and then moved over to the States. And so, coming from Venezuela, that's my main way of how I got into Bitcoin. In 2013, I was working in strategy and technology consulting, and my friends from Venezuela were experiencing hyperinflation. And the situation there was getting really, really bad. And so they were asking me questions about, how to store their wealth. And that's how through research that I came across Bitcoin. I went to the first Bitcoin conference in Miami in late 2013. That's where Vitalik first presented Ethereum. And I just fell down the rabbit hole since, haven't looked back. So I was working at Deloitte. I helped co-found Deloitte's blockchain practice. I helped run it and grow it for the next 2 years. And then I moved over to ConsenSys to help them structure their consulting business. Had some fun projects there. And then that's where I met Thessy, and we co-founded Liquality.
So first of all, you both have very, very awesome backgrounds coming from the traditional finance world and coming into the world of crypto, and also just with your unique backgrounds culturally as well, understanding the significance of what it means to have control of your financial opportunities that are there, and then being able to help people who don't necessarily have the means to have that control from their local governments, what have you. And the other part of it too is just even with the name Liquality, like one of the biggest things that comes up all the time is liquidity. So whether that's in the traditional world or whether that's in any type of investment, the importance of being able to get liquid is highly important. So I'm guessing there's a play on that as you got into the name. And, I'm really just excited to learn more about, Liquality. So tell me about it. Like you said, you incubated back in ConsenSys, and now here we are in 2021, 5 years. You've been able to go through a bull cycle, down through a bearish, back into a bull cycle. So much has happened. Kind of catch us up on, from concept of when you started this to where we are today.
Yeah, I can start with that. And yes, you caught that right. Liquality is actually a combination of liquidity and equality. So those things are in our name and there to stay. And it's great goals to have, big goals, lofty goals. You want to hear a little bit about the history of Liquality and how it came about? We met in ConsenSys on a different project, and we started talking about what might be important for the world to have. And initially, we started as on the premise of transacting being a human right. So basically, the world needs global money, and everybody should be able to take part in the digital economy. Initially, the research was focused on global money and how people use it. And we realized that there's a lot of friction, even in the regular transaction processes that we think are global today. They are actually not global. And that crypto could be a solution to that, purely from a money perspective. Fast forward, we started zooming in on the trading aspect of that. And eventually then, I also understood that the user shouldn't have to know what type of blockchain something is on. And there are different types of coins out there for different purposes. So it should all be very fluid and be transparent to the user. Of course, the challenge you have there is that this is a very new technology. So we first literally had to build the technology, which we did with building a abstraction layer. So anything that's being plugged into that layer becomes compatible to one another. So if you have Bitcoin here and Ethereum here, Ethereum-based tokens, they can start exchanging with one another. And with that also, you can have access to applications that are built on the other chain. So these are decentralized applications. Our wallet, eventually we came up with the wallet. That was last year. So we had initially just a trading interface. And then we said, okay, everything in the future will come out of a wallet. So let's just, on that premise, let's put everything into that type of an interface and make it really usable. And that's where we're at, and I'm sure Simon can add to that.
Yeah, if I could add anything, it would be that it's the natural progression. The reason why today we are wallet first as a multi-chain wallet was because we built that trading interface, and it was incredibly hard to use, right? Because it was basically doing cross-chain atomic swaps, which are double-sided escrow transactions. And you needed multiple wallets, each on every different blockchain. And it was really hard to use. It required too many steps, and it required interfacing with wallets that made it really difficult to basically even reach the first layer, the first step of the transaction. And so we already had, like Thessy mentioned, the chain abstraction layer, which is the foundation for how we build multi-chain applications. And we built this wallet really quickly, which ended up being, in our minds, today is the best usability for a multi-chain experience.
Which is awesome. And everything that y'all are working on, the initial problems that you identified is one, being interoperable, one going from one chain to another, having that be a seamless process. And everyone here who's been in the space for a while knows how hard that is, especially trying to go from one wallet to another. There's a lot of steps you have to take. And it sounds like y'all been able to consolidate that into one, which I'm excited to learn more about, because that's just going to make life a lot easier. And even the concept of, like, one of the challenges that I'm with right now is that I'll find these really cool projects like on like Matic, or I'll find it on like Solana. And then it's like, okay, well, what happens if I want to get liquid? So where do I even go to get off of one chain to another to get back into USDC or USDT or anything, to then go back into whatever exchange I want to get back into my native dollar, which is USD. And to be able to do that at one place, that sounds incredible. So if that's what y'all are solving, please tell me more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's exactly what we're solving for. So Liquality aims to be the single place you go to for any crypto activities. And as the crypto world eats up the traditional world, we expect that most applications will have a crypto component, and most applications will flow through a wallet interface, because that's essentially going to provide the most the best user experience. It's going to be the most convenient. It's going to be the cheapest, because it's going to be sourcing from many different places, and it's going to provide an automated cross-chain experience. And so if you have your assets in one place and you want to interact with an application that's on another blockchain, you as a user shouldn't really have to worry about it. it should be up to the wallet providers and to the infrastructure and the developers to give you as a user the best experience possible. And so that's where we're going today. What we have is a really simple way of swapping your assets from one place to another. We do that through a variety of ways. One is the most secure way is like I said, our cross-chain atomic swaps that we developed. We also integrate other liquidity sources. So we're aggregating a multi-chain liquidity environment so that basically you're just seeing, I have this and I want this on another chain. And it just happens, in the background without too much hassle. And I think that as we move forward, we're, exploring many different ways of improving that. We have an transaction automation capability that allows us to automate transactions across multiple different chains. So what that means is that you could start a transaction on Ethereum to swap your assets to Solana and then deposit those assets into an application, all within one click. So what we're really trying to do here is we're abstracting complexity from using crypto so that anyone in the world can benefit from all of the incredible things that are being offered in this decentralized economy.
So something I just want to add really quickly is this is spot on with hitting on a major need in the space right now. And it probably speaks to why I believe you started the year at like 3,000 weekly users to 14,000. So you're growing fast. You just raised $7 million from Coinbase and Galaxy Digital. A lot of exciting things going on. Just Thessy, real quick, I want you to speak to when you building this for 5 years, right? A lot of people think that like all of this is supposed to just happen overnight, right? And all these crypto enthusiasts who think like building something that has value like this and all this complexity, it takes time, but like once it comes to fruition, it is truly magical. Can you kind of just speak to that journey?
Sure, absolutely. And we haven't been building Liquality for 5 years. We have, I've been in the space for a little longer than that, and we had a research project initially. So Liquality really only started in 2018. But talking about liquality, liquidity, and equality, of course, for me, it's never fast enough. I mean, initially started, on this like everybody has a right to transact mission, and we're still on that. But yes, we had to also realize that this technology is in its infancy, right? So today, our goal to create accessibility across the globe for everyone, and basically the mission of financial inclusion, is really focused on the usability and the concepts that we're dealing with, even in the crypto space, right? The fact that we're rolling out multi-account, multi-chain interfaces, that is not there yet, right? So even from a somewhat expert user perspective, this is something to learn. And as we maybe remember from the internet, initially things were like really complicated, and even everything said click here, click there. Eventually, that's all abstracted away, and so our first abstraction, the swap, and also the solution across different aggregated other swap solutions is just one step. But this is like this. Industry is very much in its infancy still. So right now, the usability that we saw for brings in a big part of the people here. But then, when you build out the net and the network and the network effects, that will hopefully all compound and get much faster.
Absolutely. And if I'm not mistaken, although you've been able to drop a lot of amazing things so far, I believe you have some pretty exciting announcements on the way. Do you mind sharing some of those with us?
Sure. Yeah. So we're always looking for ways to bring in new communities. So the way that we think about this is that we are bridging not only the tokens themselves and providing a single wallet for everybody to use their crypto. We think of this as bridging communities. So each of the in blockchain world, in crypto world, most of these L1s of these layer one chains are usually pretty tribal in nature, and so you have people that basically are super fans of that particular layer one, And now you're starting to see that all of those lines are getting blurry as solutions like ours start coming up, where really, you as a user, of course, you have to understand the trade-offs of using one versus the other. But at the same time, really, you're just, essentially you want to use the different projects that exist on different chains. And so with that in mind, we are continually integrating new chains and projects, and we're really excited that we're going to be integrating the Terra ecosystem into Liquality. We've been working with the Terra team for quite a while, for a few months. We love the community. It's amazing what they've been able to do in the past year and couple of years, and see the growth that Terra has had, especially UST and all the surrounding applications. And so, we'll be launching Terra functionality inside the Liquality wallet, which means that you can hold all your Terra assets, you can send, receive, and most importantly, you can swap the assets. So we are building essentially we're bridging Terra into all these different chains. So we already support Bitcoin, Ethereum, RSK, Binance Smart Chain, Near, Polygon, and Arbitrum. And what happens now is that because we're integrating Terra, now all the Terra community has access to all of these different chains. And so it provides, not only a layer of usability to the Terra ecosystem, but also a layer of interoperability with all the other chains. So we're super excited. We're also working. This is the first announcement in the Terra ecosystem. We're preparing a few more down the line of how we more deeply integrate Terra functionality into the application.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. That is extremely exciting. Just to reiterate how amazing that is. So because you're bringing in this ecosystem, now they have access to all these other cross-functionality chains. So now they immediately have exposure to the Ethereum, Bitcoin, BSC, and all these other chains immediately. So the liquidity now that they have is so much greater, because the biggest challenge with all these new ecosystems as they're coming out is because they don't play nicely necessarily with these other ecosystems, is that they might not be as liquid as you would like them to be. So now they are, and that is incredible. So again, for everyone listening, this is huge news. I do have one quick follow-up question. So even with I believe they're building games like NFTs and everything else, are they able to, using this wallet, be able to put their NFTs and have that be stored on this wallet as well?
So the first iteration is going to be focused on assets first. So the UST, Luna, and being able to use the applications like Mirror and Anchor directly through the wallet via the injection, so the pop-up mechanism. And then one of the things that we'll be doing as the second iteration will be integrating NFTs. And after that, we'll be integrating things like Astroport, which is Terra's DEX, native DEX, as it goes live, and being able to do all of that functionality of depositing in Anchor to get really high yield, or even doing NFT swaps directly within the wallet. Thessy, I think you wanted to add.
Yeah, I wanted to say something a little earlier, but great. So basically, as you can tell by integrating all these different communities, these different chains, Liquality also builds an infrastructure where trust between people is replaced by protocols of different decentralization, right? So if you look at the atomic swap, it's the most decentralized, unintermediated solution. That is probably more the Bitcoin mindset. It's really using crypto as it was, in my mind, intended to. Trustless, permissionless, censorship-resistant. You don't have to give any data to use the application. So this is really like a solution for those type of people. And there's a whole range of other integrations that have a different, level of decentralization. So that's super important to understand, because not everything needs the same level of decentralization. And so we are as a technology neutral to it, but we make sure that we offer this range, right? And user education is super important. A second point I want to make to that before we get to time, and I don't get to make it, is that the foundation for this next industrial revolution is being laid today. And it really takes everyone to join this, because it's super important. The ground rules are put into code today. And so, as I mentioned before, I started Women in Blockchain, and it's really diversity in blockchain is really about bringing all the different groups in. Particularly once we move towards DAOs and everything is on code, entire companies are run on code. We have to make sure that we build everything from different perspectives and different experiences. So super important. Everybody should join with their domain knowledge and bring that to the table. You don't have to be a coder. You can have tons of other backgrounds, and hackathons and things like that are great ways to start being a mentor, being, a participant. Yeah.
I agree. And actually, I want to spend just a little bit more time on that. Before I do, first of all, Liquality, everyone listening, I don't know if y'all aren't excited about this, but I am. This sounds amazing. I personally am going to be checking this out ASAP because I have a ton of things that I've been trying to get liquid in. And so excited to test this out and for all of the new things coming out, especially like the Terra landscape and all of the amazing projects that are going to be within the pipeline. So thank y'all for sharing that with our community. But Tess, just want to go back real quick. DAOs, so decentralized autonomous organizations. Why is this the future? Why do you think more and more companies should be looking to go in this direction?
It's a growth strategy, really. It makes things, it solves for problems that we have with regular organizations right now, which is like usually it's a hierarchy and eventually inefficiency, but also a lack of transparency. DAOs can be, and I mean, this is again something very early in its infancy. It can be a solution to that. But in my mind, it has to be done with a lot of diversity and a lot of different opinions, so people can actually make sure that we don't just build the same problems into an automated function, right? So what can happen there is that you have the different disciplines, DAOs of DAOs, different groups. Just to clarify what it even is, it's decentralized autonomous organizations, meaning that there isn't any leader, but there are communities voting. So communities will own the projects and will vote on the projects. And even the investors today can, become partners, really, right? Everybody becomes a partner rather than, somebody defining a direction. And so what's important to know is that everybody can then take part. So wherever you are, if you are skilled, you can contribute and you can get rewarded from the community. So that's it's a growth strategy because you don't just build a company, but you build an ecosystem.
Right. And I think the importance of ecosystems and transparency and diversity, just like you said, are all highly important. And everyone having a true voice and being able to vocalize it and have autonomy with decisions that are being made helps truly drive a strong ecosystem and community forward. So I agree. Everyone who doesn't really know a lot about it, I think Tess just gave a really good explanation, but definitely do some more research and find ways that you can be involved in some DAOs that are being created right now. But again, both of y'all have shared a lot of amazing information. As we kind of wrap up, I always like to finish on two really fun questions. The first being, with all the information you have right now, and we'll start with you, Simon, with all the information you have right now, if you can impart 2 to 3 pieces of wisdom to yourself when you first got started in this crypto space, what would you tell yourself?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that the first one would be to get deep as fast as possible in terms of understanding what really is going on at the technology level. It took me a few years to get there, and the moment I started understanding how things worked under the hood is when I started getting more access to more opportunities, more getting more into the crypto community as well, and not just looking at price. I think the more you understand the technology, the more you realize how impactful this is for the world as an evolution. So that would be the first, and then the second is I used to worry about cycles a lot, and the crypto cycles, and I think I've been through so many of them at this point that I think about them as just things that pass, and the super high ups are equally as nerve-wracking as the super low lows. And so, it's a matter of being consistent and staying through and staying resilient. And I think that would be my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think those are 2 great ones. What about you, Tessa?
Well, Thessy, yes, we have been working for a while together. So, I mean, I really have to echo what he says. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Never forget why you're there. Like, what's your driver? Always connect back to your heart and why you're there. Don't get distracted by money. Keep an eye on the problem you want to solve and keep solving it, So bring the people in, bring the beneficiaries and bring the groups in that you are interested in solving for, and make sure they're part of your solution, because they are the ones, they know, and they also keep you motivated. So it's kind of like this loop you're creating, and it's great. And it's super important. It's not a luxury. It's now, it's a must. We have to be there, and we have to build this, and we have to make sure it's good.
Yeah. And it sounds like y'all are doing just that.
Yeah, and if I could add one more, just because I really like our team, and I think that one of the most important things is building with people that you care about and that are pushing you every day. And so we're getting to that point in Liquality where we've brought in so many good people that the ideas are flowing on their own, and that's always amazing to see. And they're people from very different backgrounds, like Thessy's saying. I think we've done a really good job at bringing that together. And so, surround yourself with good people.
Agreed. Amazing thoughts. Everyone go back and re-listen to all of that and figure out how you can start incorporating that into whatever you're starting to build or whatever you're beginning to get into, because they are all nuggets that can help drive you and get you there a lot faster. But as we wrap up here, Thessy, I'm going to pass to you first. What is a final thought that you want to leave with all the listeners here today?
Join. Super important. Be there, get involved, get excited. It's the future. You got to define it.
Awesome. What about you, Simon?
Yeah, it's a very, very similar thought. Is get hands on. There's no go. You're looking at coins and trading coins is cool, I guess. But the more important work is happening in the discourse of the communities. It's happening in the DAOs, in the conversations. And so step in. Don't be afraid. There's a space for everyone. Everyone started, at some level without any knowledge, and it's all about how curious you are. Come into our community Discord, say hi, and we'll welcome you with open arms.
So 2 great takeaways. Make sure you join. Make sure you get active and act. You find something that makes sense to you, go ahead and start making some movement on it. It's never too late. And it's time to just get in. It's a great time to be in the crypto space, and there's a lot of opportunity out here. So what are ways that if someone was listening to this and are super excited like myself and wants to learn more about this, how can they learn more about you and download this amazing wallet?
Yeah, you can go to liquality.io to check out our what we're all about. You can download the wallet from there. There's a direct link. Right now it's a Chrome store extension, so a Chrome extension to interact with applications. Soon we will also be releasing a mobile application on Android and iOS. And the best way to join is, again, joining our Discord. That's where the conversation is happening. If you try out the wallet and you have any feedback, we have a feedback channel. If you have any ideas on how to make it better, this is a project that we're all building together. So come on in and help us build, and follow us on Twitter at Liquality.
Excellent. And as we kind of wrap up here, I really appreciate both of you joining us. I feel like the backgrounds and the concepts of why Liquality makes a ton of sense, it's just going to resonate with a lot of people. I think what y'all are doing is really special. So again, thank y'all for spending some time with us. And of course, for everyone listening, stay cryptocurrent.